Hi, my name is David Rippy. I am a certified hypnotherapist where I take clients into a deep hypnotic state where they can share details of a previous life. This is the chapter titled Healing Pain and Life Review as an 1800's Mother in my book, The Immortal Soul. Enjoy.
Healing Pain and Life Review as an 1800's Mother. A woman in her mid-30s came to me wanting to do a past life regression and mentioned she also had physical pain. I inquired about stomach issues after she touched her stomach several times and grimaced. Follow along as she recounts a tough life living in the 1800's and the process she experienced reviewing that life with her counsel. David, we're doing a reading today, and we're going to work on various health issues in addition to the IBS. What are other health issues you are experiencing? Subject, I just don't know what's going on with my stomach. Honestly, more just the emotional stuff. Just cutting the connections to the negative beings in my life, if that's okay. David, well, we can do that. Anything else? Subject, no. David, okay, remove stress and anxiety as well as stomach issues. Bring a big sense of calm and power. And bring in more positive people. Subject, just not to have the negative people in my life able to affect me the way they do. David, gotcha. Sort of like a shield type thing. Subject, yes. David, and of course the stomach. What about the lower back, anything? Subject, nope. David, okay, so I'd like you to get comfortable. As there was pain and emotional turmoil present, I took her very deeply into a hypnotic state. Often when the pain, whether emotional or physical, is strong, it requires going not only into the subconscious recesses of the mind, but inducing a superconscious state. This state also heightens the past life regression experience, life between lives recall, and in some instances, an opportunity to experience an end-of-life review by one's council of elders. Her council had some good advice for her. David, feeling so relaxed and so happy inside as you drift down deeper and deeper. Feeling yourself in the bubble. So how do you feel? Subject, relaxed. David, so as you drift down just enjoying the moment, you begin to notice your mind's eye opening. Absorbing this golden peaceful light, not too overwhelming, but powerful. As you drift down deeper and deeper, more and more relaxed, you're starting to get closer to the ground. You're drifting down toward the base of an enormous tree that you are floating alongside of in your bubble, almost like a leaf falling gently off a tree, so relaxed, so peaceful. Only when writing this book and reading through the transcribed recording did I pick up on the metaphor I used in the hypnotic induction, the action of a leaf falling off of a tree, just gently floating down. It is a way to symbolize death and the release experienced by a soul when they pass on and depart from the tree of life. David, the tree is surrounded by flowers that are all around its base, and you're drifting along. Just drifting along now, away from the tree. And you're floating about 10 to 15 feet above this beautiful field of flowers. It's just a sea of wild flowers, and you feel yourself just drifting along, down into little valleys and up little hills, just drifting along above the beautiful flowers. Just going with the flow, knowing you're guided and loved by divine energy. Allowing the energy to steer the way as you drift along, feeling yourself just gently wafting along on the breeze. You're in this beautiful light. And you can see through the bubble. It's translucent, but maybe a little murky, a little glossy at first, like something is on the outside of it. The murky or glossy reference used in this case is to describe the possibility that the pictures and visions that came to her initially wouldn't be totally clear. This is not unusual to experience when exploring a new life. These memories of a former life are locked deeply away. It's similar to going into an old attic and discovering forgotten photo albums that may be worn, yellowed, faded, and dusty, and recounting memories of your childhood many years later. But you're beginning to see in your mind, because your eyes are closed as you drift along. You know you're drifting along over this bed of beautiful, different colored wild flowers. And as we count down from 5 to 4, you feel yourself drifting down even further down. As you're drifting along above the sea of flowers, you know they don't last forever, and you're starting to feel like you're coming to the edge of the flowers, which is fine. You want to move forward and now explore and learn new things about yourself. And as you drift along, gently along as we count down to 3, you're sinking deeper and deeper. In your mind's eye as you drift along across the flowers, you begin to visualize a house or structure in your mind. Beginning to see in your mind somewhere before that you might have liked or enjoyed. It goes back to a more ancient time, a time long ago. And as you're drifting along in this bubble, you can see not only a familiar house or structure, you also start to see a town or a community as you drift above it. You start to get an idea, and you let that image develop in your mind. You can feel yourself opening up to another time, another life, a life which will help you now in this life, and give you some ideas of how to move this life forward. And you let this picture develop, not rushing what you're starting to see, because it might be fuzzy or hazy early on. Just letting it develop in your mind's eye. Perhaps there are certain smells or sounds around. Maybe the outside air is a certain temperature. You're just observing and wanting to enjoy this experience from your past. You feel all safe and secure because you are. We have angels all around us, allowing you to enjoy this experience of past times. So as you begin to leave this bubble, you'll come out of your bubble, and I want you to stand on the edge of a hill looking down at this house or community. And as we count down to 2, you're going to feel the images getting even stronger, starting to remember other people in that life, other names. And as we drift down to 1, you feel the pictures getting stronger. You feel that you might know who you are as you observe everything around you. Drifting down deeper and deeper, you feel the images getting stronger and the memories getting stronger. And now you see it in your mind. Subject, gentle snoring. David, do you notice anything in your mind? Subject, I'm just relaxed. David, so you're not seeing any images of houses or anything? Subject, no. David, so as you're relaxing, do you feel all the pain exiting your body? Subject, yes. David, feeling it all go away? Subject, yes. David, do you want to visualize a past life? Do you want to try? Subject, yes. At this stage, though the client felt the pain exiting her body, she didn't appear to be deep enough to complete a past life regression. I decided to use some deepening hypnotic techniques to allow for this. David, ending deepening hypnotic techniques, so, while you're relaxing, I want you to hear my voice and listen to what I say. Listen to my questions, and let's see if we can build some images in your mind of another life. And now, you just stepped out of your golden bubble and you are protected. You're just observing this life, and you are looking straight ahead. Perhaps the images show up like they're on a projector screen, and they're starting to take on a 3-dimensional look. You see yourself standing there and gazing, starting to see in your mind's eye things that are familiar to you. You're seeing images in your mind's eye very clearly now. They're getting brighter and brighter, clearer and clearer. Are you seeing images that relate to you in your past? Subject, yes. David, describe to me what you see. Subject, it's a ball of light. David, the structure is a ball of light? Subject, yes, it's far away. David, okay. Subject, it's very dark out here. David, now what is this ball of light? Is it similar to a miniature sun, or do people live on it? Subject, I don't know what it is. David, and where are you in relation to this ball of light? Subject, just sitting, waiting for it to come to me. David, as you're sitting there waiting on this ball to come to you, can you send messages to it that you're ready? Telepathically? How do you communicate? Subject, I'm telling it to come to me telepathically. David, so you're sitting there waiting and waiting. Now, how long have you known of this ball of light? Subject, I don't know, a long time. David, as you see this ball of light, do you remember it coming to you as a child? Subject, yes. David, and as you look at this ball of light, do you ever go inside of it? Subject, no. David, so it comes to you and talks to you, I guess? Telepathically? Subject, yes. David, and what do you talk about? Do you remember a few things? Do they tell you where they're from or anything? Subject, we talk about my experiences. David, in this life now or another life? Subject, it's another, but they're with me at the end of all my lives. it's not my spirit guide, but they're an important person. David, so this ball of light is a soul and helps you in a lot of lives? Subject, yes. David, now did you die and that's why you're here? Subject, no. David, you did not. So, you're alive in that life and you still had this golden ball of light come to you, is that correct? Subject, yes. David, did the golden ball of light go to others, or don't you know? Subject, I don't know. I didn't ask. David, did you ever feel like, why did they pick you? Did they ever tell you? Subject, no. I just think that I'm part of the group. I'm part of the group. David, well, that sounds interesting. So, as you're observing this life and seeing this ball as it's coming toward you, and you feel so relaxed, do you feel like you're on Earth as you're waiting for the ball? Subject, no. David, where do you think you are? Subject, I don't know. David, do you think you're on another planet? Subject, no. It's just a building. David, it's a building? Subject, with lots of doors down the hallway. David, and you're waiting in this building, is that right? Subject, yes. David, so you see the building, what is this building? Subject, I don't know what I'd call it. It's just like a hallway with doors. David, okay, but you're inside this building in another life? Subject, yes. David, and how old does the building look? Does it look old? Subject, old. David, think of what you know about architecture, because you've seen a lot of houses and old buildings in your life. Does it look like it's from the early 1900s, or what year do you think? Subject, way before that. David, can you give me a rough estimate of the time frame? Subject, this is the 1800s. David, sometime in the 1800s? Subject, yes. David, mid-1800s? Do you think Lincoln was around then or not? Subject, yes. Before Lincoln. David, so it was a big building that had a lot of doors and it was old. What was the outside made of? Subject, brick. David, and there were a lot of horse and buggies, I guess. Subject, yes. David, is that how you got around? Subject, yes. David, did you have a job in this building? Subject, no. David, so why were you in the building? Subject, I don't know. I was meeting people to talk. David, you were seeing other people there? Subject, yes. David, so you didn't work in that building, but did you have any type of a job in that life? Subject, no. David, you did not have a job? Subject, I was a mom. David, you were a mom. And that means you were married, right? Subject, yes. David, and you had kids? Subject, yes. David, how many? Subject, 4. David, what were their names? Subject, mumbled, I don't know. David, can you see them in your mind? Subject, no. David, but you knew you had 4 children, correct? Subject, yes. David, and where did you live? Because this is back in what, 18? Does it feel like mid-1800s? Like 1850s? Or what? Subject, it's just a long time ago. It's really dark. David, so as you remember that life, do you remember what state you lived in? Subject, no. David, well, let's concentrate on the family. Can you see the house you lived in? Subject, yes. David, can you describe the house to me? Subject, it's stone. It has a porch. David, and what else? Can you walk inside and tell me what you see? Subject, long pause. There's a fireplace and chairs made out of wood, homemade chairs. There's an archway, and through the archway there's a room, and there's bed-like stuff. David, did you like the house? Subject, yes. David, did it stay pretty warm in the winter? Subject, no. It wasn't very big. There was a fireplace. David, so that helped keep you warm? Subject, yes. David, so, what else did you use the fireplace for? Subject, cooking boiling water to take baths. David, did you have a cast iron tub or something? How did you do that? What did the tubs look like back then? Subject, just a big pot that I boiled water in. David, so you take a bath in a big pot? Subject, yeah, it wasn't like a tub. Not a pot, not like a regular tub, but like a tub. David, right. Now did you remember a lot of snows while you were there? Did it ever snow? Subject, no. It was. David, so it didn't snow a lot? Subject, it wasn't snowing now. David, do you remember any snows when you lived in the house? Or winters weren't that cold and snowy? Subject, they're not that bad. David, so you probably lived somewhere in the south, is that correct? Subject, yes. David, what state in the south do you think you were from? Subject, nothing. Just territories. David, oh, so they weren't even states yet, just territories. Subject, sigh, yes. David, was it near the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf? What do you remember? What was the closest water? Subject, there's a river, but it's not extremely close. David, so you weren't close to the ocean then? Subject, no. David, or the Gulf, right? Subject, no. David, and by horseback that would be a heck of a journey, correct? Subject, yes. David, were they starting to run any railroads near you? Pause, do you remember? Subject, no. David, so they weren't running any steam locomotives or anything near you with big whistles and all that? Subject, there was kind of a station near me. There's something. A station. David, I want you to continue to remember that life and continue to think about it. As we count down, you're drifting down deeper and deeper, feeling the images open up even more. You're seeing your 4 children, starting to realize which are the boys and girls. Subject, 3 boys, 1 girl. David, and you're starting to see names in your head? Subject, no. David, do you feel like you might know your first name? Subject, no, I'm very confused. David, so you don't know what your name is? Subject, no. David, that's okay. We're just reviewing the life. You had 3 sons and a daughter, right? Subject, yes. David, and was your husband a pretty good guy? Subject, he wasn't around much. He worked. David, he worked hard? Subject, yes. David, well, that's good. At least he brought in food for the family, right? Subject, yes. David, it's very important. So, I'm glad. As we count down deeper and deeper, feeling yourself just opening up even wider, seeing these images all around, seeing them playing in front of you, seeing yourself just observing as you go forward in that life. As you drift down, the images get brighter and brighter, much easier to see, describe, and remember. And as you drift down, you're seeing the images expand. Let's go forward in that life. Do you see yourself as an older woman? Subject, yes. David, so you see yourself as an older woman. Are you feeling older and more tired? Subject, yes. David, raised a good family, right? You felt pretty happy with that? Subject, I was happy. David, as you're drifting along, how do you feel you were as a mother? Subject, I was a good mom. David, were you a good cook? Subject, yes. David, as you're drifting along, remembering that life, feeling and seeing yourself getting older and older, were you happy in that life? Subject, I sit by the fireplace a lot. It makes me happy. David, do you read any books or just rock? Subject, I rock, I cook. David, are you still in the same house? Subject, yes. David, so have you been in that house for a very long time? Subject, yes. David, and you like your house and you like that fireplace? Subject, yes. David, what was your favorite dish to cook? Subject, cornbread. David, were you pretty good at cornbread? Subject, yes. David, where did you get your meat? Subject, from livestock. David, did you raise livestock? Subject, no, other people in the town did. David, what about milk? How did you get milk? Subject, yes, we had milk cows. David, so did you make butter and cheese? Subject, yes. David, I want you to visualize yourself in that past life. You're by the fireplace. You're feeling the warmth of the fire. You're gently rocking back and forth, realizing you had a long life. And how old were you when you died? Subject, I was old. My face was all wrinkled. David, so you're pretty old, but you don't remember the exact year? Subject, no. My hair is gray. David, what do you look like? Subject, I look frail. Like a little frail grandma, tiny, very tiny. I'm small. I'm not tall. David, not tall, pretty small. Feeling very frail. The fireplace is nice, but you know your time is coming close, right? Subject, it was where I was happy. David, and you were very happy, weren't you? Subject, I watched the children play. David, you'd watch them play, and you watched them grow up, right? Subject, yes. David, now right before you passed, did you have a lot of grandchildren? Subject, yes. David, did you have great-grandchildren? Subject, yes. David, so quite a big family, right? Subject, yes. David, and you were the start of a lot of that. Subject, yes. David, so you felt pretty happy about how things all worked out, right? Subject, yes. David, it sounds very nice. Well, as you get older, you had a good life, and I want you to go right to your death. How did you die? Subject, whispered, I just died. David, were you in bed? Subject, I was asleep in the rocker. I just drifted off. David, so it was a nice, peaceful death, right? You just kind of drifted off? Subject, yes. David, and as you drifted off, and as you're seeing yourself, you continue to remember these images. Did you see yourself come out of your body? Your spirit? Subject, yes. David, were you standing in the room right when you died? Subject, yes. David, how long did you stay there? Subject, my husband joined me. My husband came to join me, and we left together. David, your husband came to join you? Subject, he came to get me. David, he had already passed away? Subject, yes. David, how long before you did he pass away? Subject, not long. 3 years, 4 years. David, so your husband came and met you right when you passed away? Subject, yes. David, well, that was very nice. Were you glad to see him again? Subject, yes. I was very content with this life. When he came to get me, I didn't want to fight. I was ready to go. David, well, it sounds like a wonderful life. When your husband came for you, where did you go? Where did he take you? Subject, to go meet with everyone. David, so you went to meet with everyone? Subject, yes. David, where did he take you to meet them? What did it look like? Subject, mumbles. David, say that again. Subject, I see different colors. There is a lot of white lights. There's purple lights. There's blue lights. There's green lights. There's golden light. David, so about every color you can think of, I guess. Subject, there are a couple of red lights, but I stay away from them. David, a couple of what color? Subject, red. David, and you stay away from red? Subject, yes. David, why would you avoid red? Subject, I just don't like them. David, you don't feel comfortable around red? Subject, no, they make me uncomfortable. David, well, that's interesting. And when you see all those beautiful colors out there, are those all souls? Subject, yes. David, their soul color shows their evolution and everything. You kind of know. There's no secrets, is that correct? Subject, no secrets. David, so everything is known, is that right? Subject, yes. David, so whatever color a person is, you're not going to fool somebody else by having a different color. Subject, no. David, it's all very regulated, isn't it? Subject, yes. David, tell me about heaven where you are, because it sounds like you're in heaven. When your husband brought you there to meet others, who else did you meet when you arrived? Subject, just him. David, just him? No other deceased relatives? Subject, no. We were just kind of going at our own pace, while everybody else was with the other lights. David, so when you arrived, it was like everybody was doing their own thing, and you and your husband just went and did your own thing too, I guess. Subject, no, we're going somewhere, we're just taking our time. David, you have somewhere you need to go, but you're taking your time getting there, just to get used to it, is that correct? Subject, yes. David, and where are you going to go after taking your time to get there? Subject, mumbles, go in to talk to the wise ones. David, I'm sorry? Subject, go and talk to the wise ones. David, so you're going to talk to the wise ones with your husband? Subject, yes. David, now are these the ones that helped you with your soul contract or lessons in this life before you incarnated? Subject, yes. David, is this a council? What are you going to see them concerning? Subject, it is my counsel, and we're going to discuss the life I just had. David, go over the things you did? Subject, yes. To talk about. David, so would you say that you're going to review that life as a mother with 4 children? Subject, yes. I was patient and kind. David, and that was part of what you'd signed up for in that life? Subject, yes. David, well, that sounds very nice. So, you were not only a good mother, did you pass those lessons of being patient and kind? Subject, yes. Softly, this was an easy one. David, say that again. Subject, this was an easy one. David, I'm sorry? Subject, this was an easy life. David, those were the easy ones, those lessons? Okay. Tell me some of the hard lessons you had signed up for in that life. Subject, there was a lot of hard work. David, repeating her, lot of hard work. Subject, softly, I lost a lot of children. David, say that again. Subject, I lost children, and that was hard for me. David, those are hard lessons. Can you think of a couple more, or are those the 2 hardest? Subject, I had a very, very simple life, and for me the hardest lesson I had to face was losing my children. I lost 3. David, you lost 3 children? Subject, I lost 1 during, I don't know, childbirth or after birth. He was born alive but died soon after. I had 2 miscarriages. David, that is sad. Eventually you had 4 living children, is that correct? Subject, yes. David, so, you would have had 7 children if they had all survived? Subject, yes. David, well, that's very sad, and that was hard losing children, wasn't it? Subject, yes. David, well, those are hard lessons, the pain from losing a child. Subject, but I didn't get angry and bitter. David, good. Well, that's good. So, you didn't blame anybody for losing them, right? Subject, no. David, were you a religious woman in that life? Subject, yes, I studied the Bible. David, now when you went to see the wise ones, having studied the Bible, did you see any angels while you were looking around? Subject, there are angels, but you don't go up to them, they come up to you. If they want to talk to you, they summon you. David, so if they want to talk to you, they'll summon you. Subject, yes. David, so you just don't walk up to them and ask them questions? Subject, yes. David, because that's kind of rude, right? Subject, yes. David, or are they so advanced that it'd be like a private walking up to a general and asking him something? It's pretty structured. Subject, it's just their affairs are much more intricate than any affairs I have. I'm not that level. That advanced. David, that makes sense. So it'd be almost like a ninth grader walking up to a PhD and asking a question. Somebody else is going to handle the question besides the PhD, correct? Subject, yes. David, that makes sense, because they've got intricate things and I'm sure they're very busy. So, you went to see your wise ones. Now tell me, what colors were your wise ones? Subject, they're purple, and there's one angel. David, so there's an angel in the group too? Subject, yes. 2 purple and 1 angel. It's just my husband and I in front of this council, but I don't know his name, and I don't know why. David, you don't know whose name? Subject, I don't know his name. David, your husband? Subject, names of the members of my council. David, I'm not good with names either, but that's okay. So, are there only 3 on your council? 2 purple souls and 1 angel? Subject, MHM, yes. David, are they there to see you about that life? Subject, MHM, yes. David, give me an idea of what questions they asked you concerning that life. Subject, we're talking more about other lessons that I need to learn. David, and what lessons do they tell you that you need to learn? Subject, that I had an easy life. David, even though it was a lot of hardship and work? Subject, yes. David, they thought it was easy for you? Subject, there's other things that I need to focus on. Like, I don't know what the word in my head is. Sigh. David, so there are other lessons they want you to learn, correct? Pause, adaptability, acceptance, forgiveness. Subject, no, I like to challenge myself. I need to have harder lessons. David, that's what they told you. Subject, MHM, yes. David, for soul growth, right? Subject, yes. David, and what kind of lessons? Did they give you an idea? Was it going to be like a physical or mental disability? What kind of lessons? Subject, pause, physically, I'm very strong. Mentally, I'm fairly strong. It's emotional. David, more emotional situations? Subject, no, the word that keeps playing in my mind they're projecting to me, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It seems so far away. David, well, as you're there with your counsel, how do they feel you did overall in that life? Subject, good. David, did you pass all the lessons? Subject, yes, but they said that's why they're talking to me. It was an easy life, and I'm going to be challenged more next time. That's why they're talking to me. We're having a serious conversation. My husband is trying to encourage me. David, because you're a little concerned about how hard that next life could be? Subject, no, I'm just not responding. David, but they said you needed to take a more challenging life, even though you knew you did a good job in that life. It was hard work, you lost some children, but I guess you're saying that they just didn't appreciate how well you actually did in that life with the hard work and loss. Is that right? Subject, it's more. I'm meant to be more than what I am. David, so they knew you had more ambition and drive in you to handle a harder life? Subject, yes. David, they know that you have the ability to challenge yourself more and conquer harder assignments. Is that right? Subject, and they want me to advance. They want me. I'm not ready to be purple, that's way out there. But I think I'm ready to do more blue soul stuff. I'm not ready to be like them, but they want me to be a leader. David, okay, so right now what is your soul color? Subject, green. David, you're green. With some blue? Subject, just a little bit, but that's what we're talking about. David, exactly. Talking about advancing up by being a leader and showing others, correct? Subject, yes. David, that's very interesting. So, they said with some harder lives that you would evolve faster, is that correct? Subject, yes. David, when you're there with your spirit guides, let's say the council, how many lives do they think you've had on Earth? Do you see any numbers in your head? Subject, I see numbers floating around, and it's very strange. David, but it's hard to tell how many lives, correct? Subject, yes. David, you just know you've had quite a few? Subject, yes. David, and you feel pretty confident about that life, even though it was a hard life. Anything back in the 1800s is hard, and raising kids on the farm must have been tough. But they said, you know what, you can handle harder challenges. You got paid a compliment. Your council said, look, you blew through that one, we know you can do much bigger things. Is that correct? Subject, yes. David, there's a sense of confidence the council has in you by saying, we believe in you. You blew through that life. We know it was easier than what you can handle. So I can see that approach makes sense. And taking harder lives and challenges is what makes a leader, right? Subject, very quietly, yes. David, hard experiences to help others as a leader someday. So, as you're standing there, what are you looking like in front of the council? A leader doesn't necessarily mean someone who is well-funded, runs and wins a political office, though they often have broad powers to decide various matters among the citizenry. True leaders lead by example and exhibit qualities such as strength and wisdom, combined with empathy and understanding, and many have spiritual underpinnings, making decisions for the benefit of all. Strong examples would be Jesus, Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, Rama, to more modern-day leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King, to name a few. Subject, just a ball of light. David, so you're just a ball of green energy. Subject, yes. David, now if you look closely, can you project a face onto your ball of green energy? Subject, I don't see faces, but I also don't feel like I look at people, if that makes sense. I feel meek. David, okay. What color is your husband's soul? Subject, he's green. David, so you're a pretty good match for each other? Subject, yes. David, you guys have a lot in common. You're about the same level of evolution, and you enjoy each other. Is that right? Subject, yes. He wasn't around much. David, he what? Subject, he wasn't around much. David, I know, you said that earlier. Let me ask you this. Subject, it was okay. He worked hard. He gave us a good life. David, so he did pretty well with his lessons too? Subject, yes. David, did they think it was too easy on him as well? Subject, no, he had different lessons. To be away from us was hard. David, what kind of lessons did he have? Can you share those? Subject, no, he doesn't want to talk about them. I think that's why I'm making. David, oh, so it's private? Subject, no, it's not that it's private, he just doesn't want to talk about it right now. David, you're sitting in front of your council, going over that life, and they said you did well, you passed your lessons. They said they want to see you do harder lessons in the future. I'm sure most councils tell that to most souls they're reviewing, because they want everyone to evolve. They want purple eventually. So to get there, you've got to take harder stuff. So I can see councils in most cases discussing taking harder lives with the souls they're reviewing, wanting them to challenge themselves more. You know, that's a great way to word it for councils, saying something like, hey, we know that life was hard, but you breezed through it. We think that was an easier life than you could have handled. We believe in you. We see some leadership qualities. We'd like to see you handle some tougher lives for that type of soul growth. I'm sure that's probably going on in every council meeting, because it makes sense. If you're not all the way up there, and you want to advance, you have to take harder lives, because that is the way to evolve, not only consciously but in wisdom as well. So as you're sitting in front of your council, talk to me about the angel. Do you recognize them? Subject, no. David, okay. Subject, he's very quiet. David, who seems to be leading the group? Subject, there's the two purple. David, who's the council person in control? Is there someone in charge? Subject, yes, and the purple soul who is leading this council meeting is talking to the other purple soul who is kind of their assistant. But not everyone speaks. Only the one head person talks to me. They talk to each other, and then the three of them talk amongst themselves, but only one person speaks directly to me. David, and do they feel pretty powerful? Subject, yes. David, because they're advanced beings. You know these beings have done a lot of hard stuff, and have had a lot of challenging lives and experiences to evolve to purple souls, is that right? Subject, yes. David, so let's say the council meeting is over. They're happy with you. Now after you leave your council meeting, where do you go next? Subject, mumbled, to visit other people in my group. David, say that again. Subject, to visit other people in my group. David, so you're going to visit with them? Subject, I'm going to see my friends. David, are they glad to see you back? Subject, yes. David, did you miss them? Subject, I did. David, so they're a fun bunch you hang out with? Subject, we just talk. We discuss. We share experiences. It's not. I don't know how to explain it. David, it's not like you're going to hang out and just have fun? Subject, no. David, so it's a more serious discussion? Subject, we're in the hallway with the doors again. The subject had mentioned she was in the hallway with doors earlier in the regression when asked what she saw. When I probed if she had passed on, she replied no. In reviewing, I feel strongly that she had already died and was on the other side, but the experience felt so real she mistook the heavenly realm, the hallway with doors, as her past life. David, do you have something like dorms? Where do you live? Subject, it's not really a building, it's a space, a vast space that everybody is in. David, so you have this vast space, and souls are all throughout it? Subject, yes. David, you can blink your eyes to the very end and it's just infinite, is that right? Subject, as soon as you feel like you're at the end, it continues to go. David, do any of the souls live in a little place they built, maybe something similar to what they had on Earth to make them feel better? Do they ever build any gardens or familiar rooms or houses? Subject, yes, but I'm not there. David, what do you mean you're not there? Subject, that's somewhere else. David, that's somewhere else. Are there different places you can go as a soul? Subject, it's just not the area I'm in right now. David, so this is where you go to see friends and hang out, but nothing you've created is here, right? Subject, no creating, we're just sharing our experiences of past lives, things that went on. David, does it feel good to share? Subject, it does. David, because it kind of brings you back to home more, doesn't it? Subject, it makes me excited to hear their happiness and their enthusiasm. David, have some of those souls. Are they all green mostly? Subject, yes. David, did some of them have some pretty hard lives that they talked about? Subject, yes. David, so you're all comparing notes. Do all of you have different councils, or the same council? Subject, different. David, so everybody has pretty much a different council. So, there aren't too many souls who have the same council? Subject, a couple of them have the same as me, but no. David, but not a lot, is that correct? Subject, yes, that's correct. David, well, that's interesting. Now are most of the councils just a couple of members or does it vary? Subject, it's always 3 on mine. David, does your husband have more than 3? Subject, no, he has the same council. David, so his council is the same as yours? Subject, yes. David, okay. Subject, that's why he came with me. David, I understand. A good support too, right? Subject, yes. David, so you're seeing the purple souls, the wise ones. Now what's the evolution of a purple soul? A deep purple soul, do you know? Though I knew the soul evolution colors, I wanted to see what the subject's interpretation was, as she had no idea of soul color evolution prior to her hypnotic induction. It was not until tapping deep into her superconsciousness and into the other side that this previously unknown information was readily forthcoming for her. Subject: purple is the highest here other than angels. David: so dark purple is the highest state of evolution, and above that are the angels. Now what about ascended masters like Jesus, for example? When you think of him in your mind, what color is his aura or his soul? Subject: mumbles. David: say that again. Subject: I've never met him. David: you never met him, okay. Did you ever meet any disciples? Subject: no. David: but you see some angels where we are now, is that correct? Subject: yes. David: anyway, let's stay where you are now. We just spoke to your council. They're happy with that life. And you're standing there, looking around, viewing all these different souls with all their different colors. Do you see any other angels around? Subject: just the one that's on my council. David: just the one on your council. Can we go and talk to them for a minute? Would that be okay? Subject: he's talking to the wise ones. David: good. Well, anyway, when available, I wanted to ask if it's okay, looking at the life you're in currently, what would they want to tell us about you? What skills have you brought into this life beyond compassion and loving children and things like that? Things that you are not yet aware of. And I'd like to ask if there's anything they can tell us about your stomach beyond what we did tonight, as far as healing. And let's see if they say anything about your health and what they suggest. And in this life, what is it going to take to move you forward? Can I ask those questions? Subject: yes. David: okay. So those are the questions. Subject mumbles. David: what? Say that again? Subject: strong will. I have a strong will. And I have to fight through my struggles, and that's what causes the stomach issues. I keep it all inside, and I think about it too much. David: that sounds like great advice. Subject: I have to let my will overcome it and not give in to other thoughts, no matter how difficult it gets. David: very good information, and I think dead on. I mean, that's beautifully said. Subject: and they're laughing. David: say that again. Subject: they're laughing. David: why are they laughing? Subject: as they humbly know their information is good, it's a collective effort with my best intents in mind. David: no doubt. I'm very impressed. That kind of nailed it, I think. And I guess the other question would be, if we get rid of the stress, anxiety in the stomach. Subject: patience. David: is that for you to have more patience? Subject: with myself. David: yes. Any other good tips? Subject: we were just talking about. I felt very meek when we were talking before to them, and when they started talking about other things, I became very, down is not the word. I went from a blob to a more formed being, if that makes sense. David: okay. Subject: I don't know, as soon as we started talking about it, it was like I was no longer meek, and that's something I needed to learn, but it wasn't in this life. David: okay. Subject: it was in another life. David: they're well aware of the things you and I have done as far as healing, and for your stomach, among other things. And it almost feels to me like a temporary, hypnotic band-aid on the issues. What else can she do to keep the pain from coming back? Subject: they said I need to meditate more. I need to be in my head more. David: so meditate more? Subject: just do more of those. David: that's what they're suggesting. Subject: yes. David: do they think the healing recordings help? Subject: yes. I need to stay awake longer. David: say that again. Subject: I need to stay focused longer or awake longer. David: awake longer during these sessions? Subject: yes. David: so looking at this life, is there anything else I can help her with? Is there anything else when using hypnosis that I can do for her as far as her physical or mental health? Anything I can add to these sessions? Or just more or less, trying to get her to stay awake longer? Subject, baby steps. David, baby steps, okay. Could we ask them this? Subject, no, that's what they said. It's part of the lesson for me. I have to learn to listen to myself more. David, well, that's right. I think that information they gave you originally on the subject, they say that I'm very wise, but I act before thinking. Impulsive. David, well, can I ask the council, just out of the blue? Subject, interjects Joseph, but I don't know which one of the purple souls is Joseph. That's Joseph, pronounced Joseph. That's what they keep saying. That's Joseph, right? David, oh, Joseph, that's his name? Subject, yes. David, thank you. Subject, but it's the other blue one that wasn't talking. Or purple, I mean, the wise one. David, is the person who does the most talking named Joseph? Subject, no. David, it's the other one. Subject, yeah, Joseph told me. Just tell him Joseph, Joseph. David, because that's. Yeah, I understand. Well, I want to thank your counsel, Dash, for all this information. Do they have any parting words for Dash? Subject, long pause, no. I said thank you, and they kind of just went away. David, all right. Well, thank you very much, counsel. I'm glad you gave me the honor and privilege of coming to her council meeting. Thank you. So, I want you to begin to see where you go next from here. Where do you create things? Subject, that's where I'm going. It slowly begins to look more like Earth. David, it slowly begins to look more like Earth, okay. Subject, there are defined areas, defined objects. David, how much like Earth or how different? Subject, it's land. It seems very flat. It's very vast but very flat. And it could be anything you want it to be. David, now do you have certain ground you build on, or do you just work where you want to? Subject, each group kind of has their own area, and groups stay together. David, and groups stay together. Now describe some of the structures that your group built or likes to visit, and describe the one that you like to go to that you've created. Subject, I like the ocean. David, say that again. Subject, I like the water, the ocean. David, you like the ocean. Did you build some ocean for yourself? Subject, I built a waterfall with rocks. David, wow, sounds pretty. Subject, and grass. David, now do you sit on the edge of the waterfall? Subject, yes. David, do you have a little house or structure you go into that you created? Subject, just a little cottage. It's very. David, and it's near the waterfall? Subject, yes. David, that must be pretty. Pretty relaxing, isn't it? Subject, it's where I go when I want to be alone. I enjoy being with everybody, but I enjoy being by myself sometimes. David, so, this is your little place to get away. Subject, it's not away from everything, but yes, it's. David, so you have more privacy here? Subject, anybody can come into it, nobody does. It's like you're in your own little. David, world. Subject, yes. David, or little scene. That sounds really pretty and nice. Are there trees and other plants there? Subject, yes. David, do you have a hammock? Subject, I have a fishing pole. David, you've got a fishing pole. Do you fish? Subject, I'm wearing overalls, which is funny because I have a human form. That's why I said it's almost like Earth, but it's not Earth. And you're in human form, but you're not human. David, that's interesting. What does your body look like compared to Earth form? Subject, the same. I'm a woman. It's just like this area, like I'm in my own head with a memory. But it's the happy place I built. David, so anyway, this sounds very interesting. Describe some of your closer friends in the group and what they built. Give me some ideas. Subject, there are gardens. David, so you see some gardens, are they pretty? Subject, yes. David, do you see any big caves or cool houses? Subject, there are cool buildings that are pretty. David, and do these souls take the whole building? Subject, yes. David, well, that's something. You sound like you have the best nature thing. Does anybody have more of a nature type environment? Subject, everybody has a little bit of nature in their areas. It's more nature here than there is structure. David, and that's in most cases. Subject, with my group. David, now does your group get together to play games ever? Do you do any fun stuff at night? Subject, we invite each other into our places, and it's like a party here on Earth, but doing whatever you want to do. So if one of my soul friends enjoys gardening, I'll go garden with her for a period of time and help her build her garden and plant things. David, that sounds great. Now do you ever jump in your waterfall? Subject, yes. David, do you have a pond at the bottom of it? Subject, it's a river. David, so you have a river, wow. And that's why you went fishing, because the river just keeps on going, huh? Subject, yes. David, did you ever go to the end of the river? Subject, no. David, that's something you might want to try sometime. Walk along the banks and keep extending it in your mind farther and farther, and pretty soon maybe you'll want to follow to the end of that river to see whether it flows into an ocean and if there's maybe an island out in it. Don't be afraid to expand your boundaries to what you're allowed to do. Okay. Subject, why do I feel afraid? Not afraid. Meek? Why do I feel? I don't know how else to explain it. These thoughts that go through, it makes me feel like I shouldn't be doing that. David, like you shouldn't be doing what? Subject, going to the end of the river. David, creativity is important and especially where you are now. In other words, don't be afraid to expand it with your mind. You've got a nice waterfall and cottage. Do you have flowers planted around your cottage? Subject, yes. David, so you have a pretty nice setup already. Well, you could change things a little bit too. You could throw in a hammock maybe or do whatever you want to do, perhaps another tree. Go walk on top of the waterfall. Did you ever go to the top of it? Subject, no, there's a big rock, and I always sit on the big rock. David, is it at the top or the bottom? Subject, it's by the waterfall. David, right. Now let me ask you this, have you ever gone to the top of the waterfall? Subject, I can, but I don't. David, are you nervous too? Subject, no. David, okay. Subject, I just like my rock. David, that's fine. So it's very restful, isn't it? It sounds very nice. Subject, I'm very at peace. I don't feel bad. When I felt meek like nervous, I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing that when you said certain things. David, yes. Subject, and when we were talking to the wise ones, I didn't look at them because I felt like I shouldn't do that. It was almost like I should be looking down. David, chuckle, so you felt a little nervous, huh? Subject, yeah. David, well, let me tell you, it's okay for me to come to your council meetings occasionally. I won't go to all of them, but I think in this case, they knew me. They were laughing and having a good time too. Subject, yes. David, the main thing is that they know you had a good life, and they know you're here, and they know I'm here to help you, no doubt. They know I do this type of thing, and when we ask questions about you, look at the very good remarks they shared with you. Later, you want to go back and review what was covered and learn from that. So when you say meek, Jesus said, the meek will inherit the earth, right? So, you can be meek to some degree, as long as somebody's not trying to hurt you or your family. If someone's in danger and you're trying to assist them, don't be meek then. But you want to be able to expand too. You want to be able to open your mind until you see in 360 degrees, where you see all around you. And by starting to do that, you're going to advance more. Okay? Subject, yes. David, so here's the thing with creativity. When I asked initially what I could create, I was a little nervous at first, like, gosh, can I really build past this area? I thought, it looks all dark over there. I don't know if I'm supposed to. So, you're going to feel that nervousness initially, like I did. And then I think you'll find that no, they want you to be able to expand because it's in your consciousness. So then you just say, stop me if I'm not allowed to. Don't be afraid to walk up to the top of the waterfall or trace that river further downstream. As you proceed farther and farther up above the waterfall, maybe someday you'll want to do something like put a nice big Indian tent from an Indian past life you may have had and a fireplace at the top. Perhaps sit in front of a nice fire, and maybe you'll want to stay there for a while. Don't be afraid to go beyond what you've already created. You love your rock, but work to expand beyond that, okay? In other words, don't be timid about having other areas you'd like to go to. Because it's like here on Earth to some degree. We expand if we want to expand. We build not only for ourselves, but for others as well. And through life we often expand our world. But we don't have to. We can just get through life and scurry out and back home again. Always remember and say to yourself, I'm an immortal, powerful soul. I'm here for experiences. I'm going to try and meditate more, because that's what my counsel is telling me, which is a good idea. By meditating, it will help you see your path clearer. I would look to find what's going to make your life easier and make the law of attraction work for you. And when negative people are around and when needed, think to yourself, I'm going to have on my golden suit of protection, and I'm going to wear this thing. I'm going to portray to others this beautiful golden light radiating off of me. And like-minded people are going to say, wow, that girl has positive energy. She didn't say anything to me, but I can tell she's very positive. I feel her energy. That's how you attract things. Negative energy is going to run from that. They don't know what they're doing, which is fine. All will find their way someday. But you have things to do now in this life. So, you've got to watch getting bogged down in negativity. If you feel it coming at you, like an energy vampire getting ready to suck the energy out of you, whether it's your sister-in-law you described, difficult ex-husband, or anybody else, baying, put on that golden suit. Nothing is going to go through that. That is divine light, and it's immortal. Through this reading tonight, sitting in front of your counsel, now you should know how divine things are, right? How immortal you are. This is real. This is how it works. So, here we are after meeting your counsel. So now, when this session is over, as you go on through life, and as you step your feet back down on Earth, back to Earth School, don't let your feet get bogged down. Keep moving, right? And if you feel something negative coming at you, then call on protection, call on Archangel Michael, and get his wings around you. Put that golden suit on and walk through life confident and powerful, because this life is going to be over someday. So, talking about what you said about meekness, think about this. Say to yourself, look, what am I fearful of? What am I scared of? Is this an illusion messing with my head? It's almost like looking at life through a virtual reality headset, because that's basically what it is like to a degree. Your consciousness and mind are housed in an infinitely amazing biosuit to experience life, lessons and experiences here. If you look at life in this way, the suit comes off at death, and back to the real reality. It's game over for that life, and you're going to know that your soul will always be around. And say to yourself, if I have negative people bouncing toward me, I'm going to repel them back with positive energy, and I'm going to go on and do my thing. It is like living in a virtual reality world here, playing the game, and as others wake up from the cosmic amnesia that surrounds most, they can work toward finding out why they're here. We can look at our individual reasons for incarnating, but we will never have all the answers concerning the life lessons we chose before incarnating. None of us are ever really going to know what our lessons are in every life we have, and that's what makes it hard. You will never really know what you're here to learn. Meditation and past life regressions can get you closer to understanding your purpose here. The easiest way to determine whether a life lesson has come into your path is if the situation is challenging or has negative implications that you must learn to overcome. It is possible to get a good idea when you're facing lessons you agreed to undertake before you incarnated, when you are forced to persevere and rise up above what you considered your limitations. How you react to tragedy and traumatic events is what matters. As Buddha said, how someone acts toward you is their karma, how you respond is yours. Figure that could be a lesson in some form or fashion coming at you, and try to react in a way positively beneficial for all parties. Easier said than done, but that's what makes the challenge or lesson you signed up for voluntarily before incarnating a strong test that adds to soul growth when you pass. Try to go with the flow, and if negativity comes your way, say to yourself, they're just not awake. They're stressed, they're caught in Earth school, and can't get beyond their hurts, their traumas, and are projecting. Maybe there are things holding them back, and they're throwing negative energy at you out of frustration. That's the kind of stuff you want to stay away from, okay? Just block it out. Put on your golden suit. Don't let negative energy get to your heart again, and it won't work its way toward your stomach, causing you additional pain beyond the IBS. Just get away from it. Shoo it out. Listen to this recording later, which will help you figure out how to keep negative energy from affecting you. Don't be afraid to carry an amethyst or another protective crystal in your pocket. Crystals are very, very powerful. Amethyst and other crystals have power, and they'll protect you. People have been using crystals for eons, thousands and thousands of years. I'm sure you've been around crystals in your life and other lives you may have had. It's good to keep some protection around you and say a prayer of protection. Call on the angels around you. Say to your spirit guides, "Hey, spirit guides, I'm feeling a little nervous here now. Help me fight through this. Help me feel the strength and the power coming in." And at the same time, visualize that golden light coming into you right through your crown chakra. I think you'll be amazed when you approach different things down the line using this technique. You're going to feel that sense of calmness or peace. You're thinking about negative things too much and getting bogged down on a wheel of negativity. When feeling anxious or down, if you just repeat to yourself, "Heck with it, I'm not wasting more time on negative things, and I'm going to do something positive. I'm going to set some goals." You might clean the house, make something to eat that's special, take a class, while them at work, or help others in your community, but you're not going to entertain negativity. That's how you want to approach negative people who come at you. Say to yourself, what are they dreaming that their negativity can get to me? Block them off, and don't respond to negative texts and calls. Educate others where you can. Try to gauge a person's growth, where their mind is, what they believe in, and kind of add little things where you can here and there to their knowledge or understanding. If you're quoting things from science, you'll have a better shot sharing with others. Things like, "This meditation thing must work. These scientists at Harvard are doing mind studies, and look how well the ones participating are doing." So, you want to kind of educate as you go through life. So as you relax, you shared with us that nice creation you made, and did your counsel give you an idea when you may come back to Earth again after that life? Or do you have no idea? Subject, right after. David, so literally you're going to come back pretty darn soon. Subject, yes. David, so they aren't going to let you hang out in heaven too long, right? Subject, no. I have things to work on. David, how's your pain now? Subject, all gone. David, glad to hear.